Let me just kind of move you guys over a little. And yeah, that looks about good, maybe. Can we zoom in? Close your eyes. Yeah, that looks good, huh? What do you think? Welcome, welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for showing up. For those who are watching it on the replay, it is 7 minutes till we actually started. So if you don't want any of this chitter chatter, just go ahead and fast forward about 7 minutes, or just hang out with us and chitter chatter for a bit. We are going to be making these cell phone pouches today. I'm very excited, actually. Hello, Carol, Pamela, Cheryl, Adeline, Sue, Inherited Stitches. Hello, hello, welcome everybody. Hope everyone is doing well. Finally got rain in my area. I always have to laugh, and I thought it was just me being crazy, but I actually heard it on the weather guy. So here is Cape Coral, you know, and here's Florida. So the storms will come, and then they'll be coming around the mountain. They're coming. Oh, look, there's Cape Coral. Well, let's go around Cape Coral and let's rain really good here. Now, that's great during hurricane season and all, but I would really like to have some actual rain during rainy season. So we've been getting a lot of rain lately. We're actually supposed to get some more thunderstorms this afternoon, so that's going to be really nice. Everything is going to be growing well. Hello, Brandy from Texas. We have a few minutes, about 6 minutes before we really get into it. Does anyone have any questions about anything in general? Pamela, have you been getting a lot of rain? I woke up. The cats and I just happened to wake up, and I looked over because the big girl Whiskers, my tiger stripe, she was laying up on a tub next to me, looking out the window. And for whatever reason, we both woke up at the same time. I looked at her, she looked at me. We both looked out the window, and it was like downpouring. And I'm like, yes. Oh, Ireland. Ireland's a wet area, isn't it? Oh, you might be able to see me. I'm a little fidgety over here. Got a little bit of energy going. I'm so excited. I thought Ireland was a little bit wet over there. I'm so very excited. I'm like, I'm going to cancel the live stream. You guys don't need me today. You guys can just hang out with yourselves, right? Because I ordered 4 new bookcases of the skinny white ones so I can put my scraps and stuff and get everything a little more organized. I wanted the white bookshelves because they kind of brighten up the craft room and everything. Hi, Gwenny. So I thought, you know what? The bookcases came in yesterday. They came in later in the day. I was really busy into making all of my prototypes on the phone pouches, so I couldn't put them together. I'm like, I really want to put these together. I've been watching them on a Walmart. They're 71 inches tall, they're 12 inches deep, and they're 25 inches wide, I believe, give or take thereabouts. Maybe it's a little narrower. It's a narrow bookcase, but it's perfect size. But they were always sold out at Walmart. They said they were in my store, but I don't even bother with that with the app, because when I go to my store and I'm like, look, it says that you have 7 of them. I'm like, no, we don't have any. I'm like, you're just too lazy to go back. Try to get a thimble for my daughter. Oh, sometimes Amazon you have to watch. I've gotten a little bit stricter on what I buy from Amazon, because if it's not shipped by Amazon, I don't care who sells it. It could be sold by ABC, whatever, but as long as it says shipped by Amazon, then I feel a little bit better about it. But if it's just like, I have a shop on Amazon. I don't ever use it. You don't see listings of it anywhere. But I can just sell things from my own home on Amazon. And those people, I don't always trust them. Thanks to, yes, my sewing room is going to be so neat, but I've been waiting all year. I check in the morning when I wake up at Walmart app, and I check before I go to bed, because I wanted these bookcases. The boxes weigh 53 pounds each. And I wanted 4 of them because these bookcases are only $28.88. So for $30, I'm getting a nice tall bookcase. Thanks, Carol. This one, hopefully it won't be very long before we get with the regular one. So I was thinking I didn't want to have to go to the store and go to the different stores and try to take it off of the shelf, put it in the cart, from the cart to my car, from my car to my house, when FedEx just delivered it. And I caught the guy at the right time, and 3 of them he'd already had stacked up on the porch, but the 4th one he put right into the house for me. So then I got out my little hand truck and I just wheeled them all the way down to the back room. But I'm really just so excited. I'm going to start as soon as I'm done with the live stream. I have to clean up my mess first, and then I'm going to start going, because like I said, I'm really excited to have things settled. I figured out the snowstorm too. I don't usually catch on very good at first, but I'm like, golden? What's golden? I don't buy, I create most of my own EPP things. Like, I make my own papers. The thimble is a little complicated. I am very picky when it comes to thimbles. Let's see if I have one right here. For my thimbles, I'd started out with this leather one, but I tend to put a whole bunch of holes in it. I don't know where my other thimble is, but oh, there it is. It's in the wrong spot. This is the one I use now. I really like this one. It has this metal part on here, but I tend to use this side with the double leather, and I wear it on my middle finger, and I use it all the time when I'm doing binding, EPP, or if I'm doing embroidery and stuff like that. I don't like the metal ones. It feels weird when my nail goes in there and it touches the metal, and it just never fits right, and I don't like that it's not flexible. I like just how flexible these are. Local quilt shops are tricky. Some of them are very choosy on who they want to have into their shop. It's like maybe they don't want to have people, I'm not saying anything particular, but maybe they don't like me because I do all kinds of scraps, and I'm not interested in buying big yardages. I only like a little bit. Maybe I buy my fabric from Walmart and Joann's if I find it and I like it and it seems of good quality. I don't mind. But some of them stores are very particular. If you don't do foundation piecing, they don't like you, and if you don't piece accurately or something, they don't like you. They can be very choosy, and I don't like those types of shops. For me, I figure if they want my money, they should kind of cater to everybody, because you're making a living on that shop. You need to make money. I'm at the other side of the room feeding the cat, of course, because it wouldn't be a live stream if Miss S'mores didn't come in and pester us. Hello, everyone that's popping in. Hello, hello. Hello to all of our silent people that are just listening, to those that don't really care to chat too much. That's perfectly fine with me. A lot of times I'm just too busy and I only listen to videos and I can't comment on them. Bye, S'moresy. Leave us alone for about an hour and a half now. Thank you so much, man. Oh, stepped on the trash can. Okay. Yeah, they don't want us because, yeah, we don't buy enough fabric. We like a lot of variety and stuff like that. Excuse me. No, I can already feel it with all the talking. My voice is already starting to get a little froggy, so you guys, you should all be used to it at this point anyways. It'll be good. No worries, we'll just get going and everything will be fine. I just might have to clear my throat now and then. My machine mat. Okay, it's just, can you see it a little bit there? It's just little string blocks. I think they are, let's see, 2, 3, 4. Yep, they're 6.5-inch squares that I did on paper piecing. When you put them, you sew them to paper. There is a firm fabric on the back. There's no batting or anything inside it. I had this sitting on an ottoman in the living room so that we put our feet up on it. Tea with honey, sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. It all depends, like, is the allergies bothering my asthma? Because I don't wheeze with my asthma. I just cough a lot and my voice gets all froggy, and then the allergies and garbage like that. Thanks, Carol. Yeah, Dollar Tree has some nice fabrics sometimes. They really do. It's usually the same one forever, and only one store out of like 30 of them in the area have it, and thankfully it's the one right by me. Yay, Sunny, you made it. Welcome, welcome. But yeah, so I just did a whole bunch of string blocks. It's just different widths of fabric. It's all scraps. It's nothing fancy. I wanted something that, I said, we're going to put our feet on it. We are going to put butts on it. People put their drinks, the kids, when they were little, well, not little, when they were younger, they were all over it. So it's just nothing. I just pulled it out when I was cleaning the other few weeks back, and I thought it'd be fine. But I'm going to be putting on, I'm going to use the one with the different colors, not the scrappy version. I'm going to turn that into a mat for me, and then the other one I'll probably just put up into the shop. That's sneaky, getting your fabric with your grocery delivery. I've heard some people do that every now and then. Like, you can get fat quarters and stuff. I don't know if you, I can't get like yardage. Chinese fabric though smells a little funny, but it depends. If it's good quality, maybe I wouldn't want to use it for a quilt, but it would work for tote bags and stuff like that, or placemats. Give it a good wash. Good morning, good morning. Hello, hello. A few more people are coming in, so we'll just give it another minute or two and then we'll get going. You got a huge piece of fabric. I know we can buy some of ours, you can get like 2 yards or 5 yards on a cardboard thick bolt type situation. I haven't bought too much yardage at Walmart anymore. I used to buy it when they had they had the craft department, then they closed them all out and then they brought them back. So originally I would buy it, and they drop a lot of their fabrics to $1 a yard. So I'd go and buy, 5 or 10 yards of each different kind of fabric, and that's how I built my first stash. I'm drinking cream soda today. I like a little sugar when we're doing the lives. All right, so let's just go ahead and get started. 30 by 36, yes. Thumbs up for Robin. Thank you so much. I'd love a bunch of thumbs up. So what are we going to do today? So first of all, I have my son's very old Samsung phone. He left it here when he moved out 4 years ago, and it's just been sitting in a desk drawer, which is really good because I go live and I do my videos on my iPhone, so I couldn't use my iPhone to figure it out. So when someone said a couple weeks ago you guys wanted to do cell phone pouches, I think this is about what you're thinking about. Let me know. I have 3 different variations that I was working on, and we'll just go through it. Now, down below in the description box, there's all kinds of information. I wrote a little short novel about the process. I can't just say, hey guys, thanks, Gwenny. I can't just say, hey guys, these are the measurements. When I was doing some research on this earlier this week, they were showing measurements for MP3 players and iPhone 3, 4, iPhone 6 was the most recent one I saw, and it's crazy. So I thought, I have, the new phone now is an iPhone 12. I have an iPhone 11 Pro Max, which apparently when they came out with the 12s now, my phone is discontinued, and it's not even 2 years old yet. That's okay. That's how phones work. So I can't give you the exact measurements. So I did give you some information. I know a lot of you guys like to sew along with me, and I didn't give you any information ahead of time because I forgot that this was the first Saturday of the month when I did my Whip It Wednesday. But when I was doing this, now Robbie has a case on his, so his isn't just a straight up cell phone either. He has a case on here. We tend to use like outer boxes and stuff, at least that's what I have, and it's kind of rubbery and grippy, so it doesn't slide in very well. But this is a Samsung, and you figure it's at least 5 years old, so that fits in there nicely with some room to spare. I did a little button closure at the top, and then I did a sew-in little small handle. There's a link to a website in the description box where I got this idea of some of these things, like of this one, where we can do some type of patchwork. Now she has all kinds of measurements, and if your phone measures what she has, and that's great, but oh, Gwenny, you have an iPhone 5? I'm surprised it still works for you. We had to upgrade Rob's. I think we upgraded his in 2018 early. Yeah, just before he really got sick, we had to upgrade his because his battery wouldn't last, and then he was having a hard time getting online. And it we're doing a thing that unfortunately iPhones do, Apple does, even though they say they don't. And old phones, because of all the new updates, the old phones can no longer keep up and work. So I'm really surprised you're able to keep yours for so long. Your baby, oh, baby phone, yes. It's nice if you have an extra phone to give to the little ones. So this one fit into this pouch perfectly, but my phone didn't fit. Excuse me one second. I've got dust bunnies blowing. So then I went and I tried and made it a little bigger. Now my phone fits in here. My phone fits in here, but it's really snug and you've got to force it in and force it out. So part of that problem is the case, because the case can be a bit grippy. So if you're going to say you want to make something for your grandkids or a friend or to put it in the shop, when you look up phones online to get measurements, then you've got to take into consideration you could be putting a case into it, and that case is going to make it thicker here and a little bit wider and taller. Now it may not seem like much, but the thickness here is what does it. Because we are not boxing our corners or anything, we have flat corners, so it's just going to slide in and there's not going to be any real room for moving around. So if you want to make it for your shop or something like that, or to make it to sell at a fair or craft fairs, flea markets, whatever, maybe make it a little bit bigger and then decide on your closures so that you know everyone's phone can fit into it. Carol, that's why I have an OtterBox on mine. I have an OtterBox and I have a screen protector. Oh, here's a quick rant. I bought these glass screen protector. I had a plastic one on that my kids bought me from Five Below or whatever that store is. It's kind of like a Dollar Tree, but everything's $5 or less. And it was all fuzzy, smeared. It was all like scratched up and everything. So Justin's like, Mom, you need a new screen protector. I'm like, fine, whatever. So I go online, do a bunch of research, get this nice pack of these glass ones from Amazon. It had this little thing that you set down on it so you can get it on there perfectly. Got that glass thing on there. Not less than an hour later, I dropped it on the floor and it shattered in 3 places. I was so mad. Good thing it came in a 3-pack because now I need to replace it. Some of these I saw had, speaking of screens, they had zippers on the top, but I thought to put a phone in with the zipper, even if you're using a nylon zipper, I'd be worried that it's going to scratch the phone. Because your resale value has a lot to do with it. If you have a screen protector, you don't want to scratch the screen because you're still going to feel it and it's going to make your screen looking blurry and hard to see. And if you don't have a case on it, you don't want a zipper to scratch it because it's going to lower the value if you want to resale it. So I thought, well, I'm not going to put a zipper in it. If I was going to do that, excuse me, I would just make a smaller pouch like this and make a zipper pouch for my phone, and then I could put my phone and maybe sunglasses if you wear them, or if you want to take the chance to put keys in there, but I'd be worried about them scratching the phone. You could put a couple cards in there or something. I thought, you know, all right, we're going to skip the zipper because first of all, it's a little hard to put a small one in like that. So in that blog post that I linked to, she had the little button loop. Now I've made these before for tote bags and I think they work really great. So the little button, it just holds it onto there and it stays nice and sturdy. I even stitched this button on afterwards. You can see the thread in here on this one, but I also did it on this guy, and you can put the button on afterwards because you can just go through the batting because I have these quilted. So there's the first one that didn't fit. So I said, okay, well, if I'm going to be testing it for what I consider one of the larger phones, let me try again. This time I have this cute little, I went into my blue scrap bin, so all of this was out of my scrap bin. This really cute fabric on there. So she has it so that she had like, almost like the calculator strip I think she had going on here. But I thought, I really don't want to figure out that much math, so I just did some strips. And on the back I happen to have this square with this blue butterfly fabric. So I just kind of figured it out and of course stitched it on off center, but that works fine too. Some pretty blue fabric there, and then this is stripes and had some big polka dots. Now this fit really good, and I had this heart button too. But the heart button, I was afraid it wasn't going to be strong enough to, stay up high enough. So I did a little trick where I stitched the second button underneath. I held them both together so that now when I close this fits behind that white button really well, and it holds it nice, and I get to use a novelty button. And again, it's a little bit bigger, so it does fit a phone nicely. You can put a smaller one in, as you can see, and I have the strap and everything's nice there. So I thought, okay, now that I have my measurements, let me try one more time. I have this balloon fabric, and I just love this fabric. It is so much fun. So I thought, well, let me try. I have this, they call it, I guess, a wristlet strap or something like that, but it comes off. It's got a swivel hook on it with a little D-ring, so I have that can come on and off if I want. So I can use it as a little carry purse like this. You don't even have to put a cell phone in there. You can put a couple of cards or your wallet or whatever you might need. I was going to say diapers, but I think diapers, you'd have to make it bigger for diapers, but you could easily do that. And then I wanted to put a little flap over the top like I have on the little wallets and stuff with some Velcro. And then I have the inside. Now this one, as I mentioned, oh, this one doesn't have a button. This one, yeah, I don't have any stitching on the inside. So I have all that. And then I thought, well, some people want to put, I wouldn't do this because I'm afraid that my cards would fall out. But some people like to put their driver's license and a debit or credit card into a pocket. So I made a little pocket back there with a little bit of faux piping on it. Whew. So there is my 3 options, and we're going to talk about more, because when we do this one, if we just bring this up a little higher and we make our straps super long, we can have a crossbody bag. So for those that want to make them for the little ones in their life, I want to think more like girls for it. For guys, you can get one of those carabiner clips, and they can clip it on their belt loop or something if they want. But for the girls, you can put a long strap, or even, the big girls like us, the grown-up girls. So we can just make 2 of these and have our straps come on and off, so that if you want it like that, you can have it, and if not, you can just make it like this. And I think these would be great, nice and simple to throw in a tote bag, backpack, duffel bag and stuff for the kids that are playing sports. There's just so many things that you can use it for. Charging cord in the pocket. Becky, I just saw that earlier because I kept looking today thinking, well, they don't have a live stream going up. I didn't get the announcement that they were going to have one. Let me go back up here since I was so busy talking. Oh. Uh-oh, what are we stapling? Sorry, guys, I gotta go back. I forgot to actually, I felt like I was doing a tutorial and I forgot to check in on here. Helly, with your paint patches, have you ever had the, oh, what are they? Oops, sorry, scroll. They have, when Rob had chemo and he had the port in, they put this clear, Tagaderm. So they have these Tagaderm patches that you could put, so you put your paint patch down, and then you put this Tagaderm patch on top, T-E-G or T-A-G, derm, like dermatitis and all that. But they have these patches that you can set right on top, and you can shower with it and everything, and it won't get the paint patch wet or nothing like that. And if you can't find that, I can see that on Amazon here in the U.S., so I imagine you can see them. Yeah, Tagaderm. And then they also have the people that do the insulin pumps, the diabetics that have the pump that puts the insulin in, and also the pump that gauges what their levels are. There's a special thing that they can put on theirs too that holds it down so it doesn't always peel up, because they wear theirs for 7 to 10 days. So there are things you can put on. You just need to, it doesn't help. Oh, Helly. You're like Rob. Rob couldn't have anything on. He was always in trouble. You were always having to retape things and stuff like that. Darn it, I thought we fixed you up. Yes, we send out a whole bunch of good wishes and hoping everyone feels better with Mom and Pop. Mom had to have some stuff done with her tooth. She didn't get to do videos the previous week due to an abscess. Then Pop had some issues and he ended up having to pop into the hospital to get straightened out. So they are at home resting and relaxing today. So we're all sending them healthy, feel better, good wishes. Now, I've set myself up hopefully to be able to get through these pouches in a decent amount of time. I have to remember we haven't gone live in 3 weeks, I think, so I gotta remember to keep looking. So yeah, I love this one. The only thing I changed with this one is I only put the 2 fabrics here, and I didn't think to, after it was already sewn together, I'm like, I should have made this a little bit sturdier. Dinah, Mom and Pop are taking the day off. Mom had a little bit of oral surgery to fix her tooth up, and Pop had a little bit of an issue with his heart, and he ended up having to get checked out at the hospital. So they are not going live today, and they're hoping that possibly, you know, if they can, if they feel better, they'll pop back in later in the week. Yeah, Haley, talk to your doctor. There's got to be an option for you. Maybe you have to put something on to clean your skin in a special way more than an average person would. You may have an issue with the tape where it just doesn't stick to you. You have an allergic reaction to it. Rob couldn't handle it. The tape just never really stuck to him. So I have 2 separate pouches. I thought today we would make combinations of them. So I have this fabric, and I want to make this pouch. I want to take the strap off. I'm going to show you how to do a removable strap, but I don't want to put this flap on. This flap is going to go on this pouch. This pouch is going to have the basic simple handle. I'm going to, as we're going through it, I'm going to say, okay, if you want to just do this as a beginner, super simple, this is where you need to stop here. And for those of us that want to get a little bit further, maybe I have all solid fabrics, so I'll talk you through this one. And then we'll have this, and I'll do the strap, but this time I'm going to put some batting in it. So let's put these guys out of the way. Move this one. Get it. So what I figured out is I put my phone down on my cutting mat, and I put it where the line goes, your 0 point, and it goes 1 to 24 and 1 to 24. So I lined it up and I said, okay, so my phone measured whatever it measured. This one measures 6 by 3. So I tried to make one of them, I made it an inch bigger. And that was this guy. I made it an inch wider. So as I said, this one measures 3 by 6, so I cut my fabric and I made it 7 by 4. Not an inch all the way around, just an inch in the height and an inch in the width. And that was just really snug. I was joking on Instagram, it's like last year's jeans, you know, just a little snug. You can still get in them, but they don't quite fit right. So that didn't work. So I added an inch and a half, and that was perfect. Now my phone will slide into this one, and it fits just with enough room to slide it in and out easily like that, but not enough for it to be sliding all over for me to have to struggle. If you make it a little tighter, you can always push up at the bottom and it'll just pop it out at the top anyway. You can ask EPP questions all you want. If anyone knows the answer, terrific. Carol, click on that little spinny wheel thing so you can bring it up. A lot of times, especially if you're on like the computer, it'll put a laptop, it'll put you down to the wrong speed. You need to go up to like 720 or 1030 or whatever it is. I don't know all that stuff, but I just know that there's a little spinny wheel there. If you click on that, you can change those numbers. The higher the number, the better the resolution. Inherited stitches, in case you don't catch anything, you don't get the right answers you want here, Tula Pink is like the EPP queen of like the most recent ones. There's Sue Daly, she also does it a bunch, but I know Tula Pink did one for, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's Fat Quarter Shop. She did a 3-video series here on YouTube. If you search on YouTube for EPP Tula Pink, you should be able to pop that up, and she answers, I bet you she'll answer every question that you can possibly have. Oh, so here I have this fabric. So these are these fun little froggies. So what I did is I went 1.5 inches all the way around, and that's what I cut my lining pieces at. So for me, my lining pieces are cut at 5 by 8. Because I wanted to quilt my outside. Now these pouches are pretty small. You can get away with not quilting them if you don't want. If you have fusible fleece, that works out really good. Thanks, Becky. I thought that's who it was. Everyone has their own thing with needles, whether it's EPP, embroidery, cross stitch, bindings. We all have our own preference for needles. My preference is whatever needle I can thread that I can actually put my hands on in 30 seconds or less. I made these, so if I want my lining to be 5 inches wide by 8 inches tall, I made these pieces. I made these 5.5 inches wide and 8.5 inches tall. I just want an extra 1/2 inch just so that when I'm going to do my quilting, depending on what I do, if it brings it in a little bit, I want to make sure that I can trim it down afterwards. So I've already quilted these, and I did the serpentine just on a diagonal. Let me show you one more thing before we get going. If you really want to protect your phone, they have this foam that you can buy at Joann's and online and stuff. I've seen it all places online. But it's an extra thickness, so we'll add that extra cushion. They use this for like laptop cases and everything. If you're going to use this, you need to add extra to when you're cutting out your pieces, because this is going to be so thick, it's going to take up space. So when you go to put your phone in, you're going to need it to be a little bit bigger. I highly recommend whatever you're doing to make a practice one. I call it a prototype because, basically that's what it is. Make yourself one, and if it comes out too small, then you can give it to your kids. Use it for something else. You could put maybe your sunglasses in it or something. But use not your favorite as fabric, because if you really, really, really wanted this balloon fabric for your case, and you cut it too small because you also wanted to put foam in to keep it nice and protected, and you couldn't use it, and that was the last of your fabric, you would probably cry and swear, like I do. So I'd make sure that I do a practice one first. So I have these 2 pieces. I have my lining. These are already quilted, so I'm going to trim these down. If you've watched my video on can I clean my cutting mat, and this is the one that I used, so it's getting dirty again. But this allows me to put it batting side down, and if I get batting embedded in here, I clean it whenever I have time. Whenever it gets so dirty that I have to clean it, and it saves my good cutting mat. Hand quilting thread is too thick for EPP. Becky is 100% right. I've done it before. Tula says that you should use 50 weight, and I've been actually using that from Connecting Threads. That's what I sew with on my sewing machine, and it works out really good. So I'm going to cut this to 5 by 8. Remember, this is going to be 1.5 inches bigger than my phone in height and width. Make sure if you have directional fabric, of course, you have it going the right way if you want it to be like that. Change it up however you want. You can piece anything you want. Like I pieced this. I had 2.5 inch strips. So I'm like, okay, so if this is 2.5, this is 2.5. I sew it together, that's going to be 4 inches. Use my little calculator, so if I need it to be 8.5 or 8 inches or whatever, how much more do I need? Where do I want to put it? You can just sew a whole panel together and just cut it out and use the rest for something else. You can sew a bunch of little 2-inch squares together. You can do strips on the diagonal like we do with our string blocks. You can totally go scrappy with this, or just grab a fun fabric and showcase it. this 5x8. Yeah, I like the connecting threads essential. That's really the only thing I use for the majority of my sewing. Like if I'm doing string blocks, if I've got some leftover Clark's, Coats and Clark, I use that on there though. But if I'm doing an actual like quilt that I want to go through the washer and use a lot and a lot, then I like to go with the connecting threads. 5x8, just triple check my measurements. This case won't be for me. This will be going into the shop. All of the cases that you see today will be going into the shop, except for one of them. Let me just make sure I cut it right. That one I'll probably keep for myself unless I change my mind. I've been known to do that. They might ban you from the quilt shop if you start doing that. Maybe drop some names. I was talking to Tula Pink the other day, and you know, you could just be talking to her online. They would never know. I'd be talking to Tula Pink the other day, and she highly recommends this. And so I thought I'd pop in because you've got the greatest customer service here, and I love your fabrics. I really want to be able to pick up my EPP supplies. Sometimes you just got to say, forget it. I can't get anything here. I'm just going to have to do my shopping online, and it is what it is. Sue's talking a foreign language now. She's using code words. Hey, the garbage men are here. What are they getting? Yard waste. Yard waste is here. English paper piecing, Pamela. It's when you take a little piece of paper. A lot of people do with hexagons, but they all do different things, and you wrap the fabric around it and you stitch it. It's all hand stitching. So I have my 2 outer pieces. I have my 2 lining. Now I'm going to put the handle on like this guy here. So we're just going to do a simple handle. If you want to just make the pouch as is, you don't have to put a handle on it at all. If you decide for your pouch here, let's say you don't have time, you want to make it super quick, you don't want anything fancy, you're brand new at this and you're totally freaking out because Robin put a button on and this weird little strap, skip all of this stuff, make the pouch. I would add maybe 1.5 inches to the top, or even up to 2 inches. You could put Velcro on the inside and just have it close up with Velcro. And your pouch would just look like this. And that's a perfectly fine pouch. You don't have to put your little wrist on it or anything like that. You don't have to carry it anywhere. If you just want to put it to protect your phone, to pop it in your purse or your tote bag, your gym bag, or even just in your car because, you know, you throw it around, you can skip all of that. Wait for us to get to this point, and then you can just sew this. And that's super, super simple. Hey, it won't be too long, Gwenny, and we're going to be doing more craft and chats where I'll be able to put the camera in front of me and you guys can actually watch my face and see all the expressions that I have when I stab myself with a needle repeatedly while doing English paper piecing. So for the handle, for my little strap, I'm going to do it 9 inches by 2 inches. That's totally up to you. What I like to do is I have these flexible little rulers. These are just cheap ones that I picked up at the thrift store. It was like some medical thing, and of course the little springy plastic thing broke. With these though, I would never use these for like a quilting project because these can stretch. A lot of times you get pulling on them, they get old, they stretch. And if you order them and they're like Chinese ones, you have to be careful because they don't actually measure properly. So when you get any of these things, let me see if I have one. Yeah, so I bought like a bag of these for 50 cents or something at the thrift store, and they have that little button in here. So if you buy them like this and they're wherever they're made, you want to bring them home and put them down on your cutting mat and make sure that 1 inch is 1 inch because they're not always accurate. Sometimes the back is perfectly accurate with the centimeters and sometimes it's not. But if it's country that does centimeters, the inch side is not always accurate. But I put this on my wrist and I'm like, okay, so this is 9 inches. So I'll put 9 inches line it up with the 0, like, okay, will this fit my wrist? Can I get my hand in it? Do I need to make it a little bit larger? For this, I kind of like to just put my hand in it like this and hold the bag. More of, you know, like this. So when I'm out, maybe I'll put it in the hand like this, and when I'm out, I just want to hold it, so I want to know it's there. So I'll just be walking around like this. So if you want to make this part longer, you can make it longer. Whatever you need, maybe add an inch to it to go into our seam allowance. Now this thing we have to iron. And a lot of times you're just going to see this over and over again in my videos. A lot of this is very simple. Sorry, I was catching different things. I thought Helly was cursing in there for a second, but she's cruising. A lot of these straps are going to be the same when we make them for tote bags, when we make them for this project. It's going to be about the same theory. You're going to do the same process over and over again. Allie made it. Welcome, welcome. Give it a nice good press. Let me slide down a bit. Make sure we're in view. Thanks, Hallie. I can't wait to change it up. It's going to be so exciting. I can envision my new mat, and it's just going to make me smile every time I use it. So I'm going to fold this in half, wrong sides together. Give it a nice press. I love steam. Yeah, the frogs are really cute. During my beginning of cleaning up certain bookcases, I have bookcases all over the place and shelves. So during my cleanup, I actually came across these frogs, and I thought they'd be perfect for using here. I am going to bring one side to the center, give it a nice press. Then I bring the other side down. And I'm going to press that to the center. Now this one, I did not put any interfacing. I didn't put any batting in it. There's nothing. It's just fabric. It's going to be a nice little thin handle, but it's still going to be sturdy enough that it's not going to be a problem. When I make the next bag with this handle on it, we're going to go ahead and put some interfacing, because with it being detachable, I feel like it needs to be a little sturdier. So that way you can also put keys on it. So I'm going to fold this a half again, and this is going to give me a nice little 1/2-inch strap. And when you give these a good steam, if you immediately put some clips on it, it's going to hold it so it doesn't keep popping open and annoying you when you go to sew it. So there's that guy. So lining, outside, inside strap. All right, so here is the little flap. Now I got really, you guys know math, me and math. I'm not going to sit there and figure out angles and percentages and this, that, and the next thing. I took my piece here and I'm like, okay, this is 5 inches wide. I took some scrap paper that I always keep around. And I went, okay, so I don't want my flap to go all the way over, because it's going to go into my seam allowances. So my seam allowance is going to be anywhere from 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch. It all depends on what you want to do. So I wanted to make sure, so I said, okay, 3/8, let me go a 1/2 inch in at least and figure it out. So I decided that if I cut, I got to check my numbers here. Where are you? I believe it's, yep, 4 by 3. So I decided my flap should be 4 by 3. So that's going to give me room to go ahead and do my seam allowance, and it's not going to leave me a lot of space right in this area here. So I didn't want my flap to just be here, although you could, but at that point, you know, you may as well just put the little button thing on. So now to get the curve on the bottom, I went and I folded it in half one way, and then I did half the other way, so I could find these two edge marks. Took my little Friction pen just because if I made a mistake, it's easy to erase and start over. I marked these two creases so that I could see them. Then you want to take something that's round. I had a variety of lids and cups and stuff, but I found that this is the lid off of my roasted and salted cashews from Walmart. That's probably like 6 years old. Not the nuts, just the container. And I put it down here. Let me show you up close what I found that works for me, because you want to have it nice and even. You could do it in half and just cut the curve, but I always end up with weird stuff. So I take this and I slide it until I can see that, come on lid, that the lid lines up right here on this side where that mark is, and then on this side. So I put it on here and I just scoot it, and I look and I make sure, okay, the lid's hitting there, and I'm lined up here. I'm not like in this weird part. I want to make sure that that one's hitting right on the lid, and then I drew my line. And then you can just cut it out. And since I'm doing it on paper and not on fabric, I can go ahead and check it out, see how it looks, make sure it goes down far enough. Maybe you want your flap to go down further than mine. Remember, we're going to have to stitch this too, so it's going to be a little bit different. So I thought, okay, I'm going to put this in the back, and it's going to fold around. It's going to close it up enough, give me enough room to put Velcro on. I like it. So then you lose this, and when you're getting ready to do the live stream, you have to make a new one. Even though you look all over and it never left the room, so where did it go? I have two pieces of fabric. I didn't want to worry about my lining poking out around my fabric, so I cut two froggies out. On my batting, I'll put froggy number 1 there. And I want to put them right sides together. Now when you're doing your pouch, this one's clouds, by the way, so I thought the clouds went good with the balloon. When you do it, you're going to be folding it around this way. So depending on where you want your froggies, if you want this froggy to be highlighted in the center, you need to make sure you're putting your template down and lining everything up. This one is all crazy, so I'll have this one to go onto the front. But I have batting. Let me make sure we don't have any questions. Thank you, Bootsy. I just kind of like wing it and I do the best I can. It works for me for right now. So I have my batting, and then I have my froggies right side up. You can put your fusible fleece down there. I don't think I would use foam for this one. I would use some type of interfacing if I made my pouch out of foam. Then I'm going to put my frogs right sides together. I can put my pattern piece down. I'm going to line up the raw edges. So all I have to do is draw. Oh, I bet you this is, oh, you know what I wanted to do? Okay, this is going to work out perfectly fine. But to make it super easy, your piece is going to be 4 by 3. But if you cut it out larger, if you make it wider, maybe 5 by 4, when we lay this down, we can draw our line and we can sew right on the line. That's what I did for that one. I stitched right on the line because my piece of fabric was larger. This is going to be fine. We're just going to sew it and use our 1/4 inch seam. It's all going to be fine. It's just I like to sew on the line versus using the 1/4 inch mark. So I'll take it and I'll just sew down here, and then I'm going to actually do about 1/4 inch here, and then I am still going to sew right on that line instead of going, I can cut it out and use the 1/4 inch, but I'm going to sew right along here 1/4 inch, stitch on that line, and I'll show you what it looks like. I'm way down here. Just give me 1 second and I will show you what I've done. Remember, I've just been winging this. I did find a few patterns, but no one really gave us much for this. So here is my stitching line right here. So I stitched down 1/4 inch, and then I just cut in and I grabbed this line right here, and I stitched along there. I got just enough of a seam allowance, I'm fine. And then I stitched back around. Mouthy. Nobody wants to hear you cry, baby, in it. What happened? Are you not going to be able to survive? Okay, I'm back. Now I'm going to grab my cooking shears because with the curve, it's always nice to snip into the curves. And thank you, Lucy. You never saw someone sew backwards? I sewed backwards. I wanted a 1/4 inch seam, so I put it along this edge here, and then I just stitched it like this. Did that make me oh, you know what? I wonder if it's backwards because everything gets flipped in the camera. So I'm going to take my curve, and I'm just going to use my pinking shears because that's going to allow me to get that nice smooth curve. If you don't either use pinking shears or make little nips with your scissors up to the stitching line, you get these wrinkles and pleats in your piece afterwards on the curves. Let me trim off a little on the corners. Clean up after myself. Where's my turners? I had to clear my desk off to make sure I had room for everything. Oh, it's not me? Oh, sorry. Because I know sometimes the camera flip things, especially when you're using your phone. I found that I think I do a lot of things backwards for people. Like when I do my binding, I don't sew my binding like everyone else. A lot of people have their binding here with the quilt going this way or something, and they go like this. But I like to all the quilt in my lap with my binding up here, and then I go this way. Some people go like to the right. I don't know. Some people just do it with, it looks strange to me. I mean, it works for them, so. I'm going in between the two cotton fabrics and just popping it out. And I've got my little turning tools here. I've got a nice rounded head crochet hook. My flamingo, I can run it around there. And you see, I didn't do any quilting or anything on it. Let me give it a quick press. For such a small piece like this, I didn't think I needed the quilting, plus it'll show with the frogs. You can also piece and make this one scrappy. Now I'm going to go 1/8 inch and I'm going to top stitch just along here, and then I'll trim this nice and neat. That way it's just going to give that nice little professional fancy look with the top stitching like it came from a store. And it kind of holds it together nicely so it doesn't, if you have to wash it and stuff, sometimes it gets all weird. But if you put the top stitching down, it holds it in place nicely. So I gotta say, I've been really enjoying sewing on this Brothers sewing machine. I was going to tell you, oh, the only little things I have is I missed the automatic thread cutter, which is no big deal. And this little table they have, it's great that there's a table, but it is so non-sturdy. It's good, but it's just not as sturdy as the Juki one, and it works, so I'm really great to have it. I'm very pleased that it's there. I just haven't gotten it to sit in a way that I enjoy. So I just go ahead, I can put this down on my mat and cut it, but I'll just trim this edge off nice and straightish. And voila, there's my flap. Now if we're going to put Velcro on it, we're going to put Velcro on this now. It's easy to sew it in. Wow. Some of them old sewing machines, they say, are just so amazing. This one is the Brother CS6000i. I saw somewhere that they came out with a new one. You go put your Velcro on here and decide how big you want. I think I decided 1.5 inches was good for me. Probably shouldn't use my rotary cutter, but it cuts it nice and even for me. I like it. Oh, the ones that are, the sewing machines that are down into the table, those are so nice. I always thought that I would really like those, but I find myself, I'm always shoving my machines out of the way because I do more than just sewing, so I want to have that space. Excuse me. I am going to put the rough, crunchy side up. I'm going to be really precise about this, so I'm going to hold it. And that's said totally sarcastically. I decided that I guess I'll have this as my front, so I'll put the Velcro on the back. I'm going to fold this in half. So there's my halfway mark. I'm going to fold my Velcro in half, and I'm going to go up. Let's see. Oh, look. Looks good right about there, so I'm going to stitch it down there. We've sewn Velcro before. So this is why I wanted the mat, because one of you told me, hey, Robin, put a mat underneath your machine and you can just slide it without picking it up. So that works really great. Ooh, monkeys would be fun. I am stitching this down. Oh, for everyone who likes to know, I have, let me see, I am going to use about 1/8 of an inch, somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4, just to get it sewn down in a way that looks nice. I'm using a 2.5 stitch length because when you're going through Velcro, it needs to be a little bit longer. I usually use the 2.0. Whoops, I almost unthreaded my machine. Let me put that down. I'm going to start in the middle at the top. Drop my needle down while holding my thread that's going through the top part of my needle here. I'm going to hold on to it tight, and when I bring my needle back up, it's going to bring my bobbin thread. And that way, the other side of my pouch will be the flap, which is the one we're going to see. It's going to be nice and neat. Won't have all that thread mess on there. Chances are it's probably going to be a little crooked. That's why Velcro and I aren't the best of friends. But I know, I was thinking with a snap, you really wouldn't want to put a snap on if you had your phone in there, because then you're snapping right onto your phone. You know, I thought snapping onto my phone, my luck, I'll break the front of it, the screen somehow, and that won't work out. So just take it slow with Velcro. Yeah, Velcro. I forgot what I was sewing. I'm just going to stick close to the edge. Some people use zigzag. Zigzag and Velcro and I have never got along very well. Just work your way around. Make sure you backstitch when you get to where you started. I saw someone put a magnetic snap in theirs, but I was always told you don't put magnets next to electronics. So I don't know. I mean, everyone puts it in these purses and stuff, but I'm like, can you put that with your credit cards and your phone and stuff? That doesn't seem safe to me. I can pull that off. And since I'm using a silver colored thread, there we go, stitch down. It's reasonably nice, center-ish, kind of, sort of. Now I have to decide which one is going to be my front, because we're going to put our Velcro on before we put our lining on and put it all together, just so that we can see where it is. But I found a little trick for that too. Instead of sewing on right now, we're going to go ahead and start sewing our pouch. Okay, who took the Velcro? There it is. Put my Velcro together so I don't lose it again. I'm going to start sewing my pouch together so that I don't have to kind of guess too much where I'm going to be placing that Velcro. You don't want a magnet strong enough. That's what I thought, Gwenny. But you know, some of them earth magnets, those guys are super strong. Justin had a magnet that he put for his name tag for his uniform shirt, and it is stuck together and on my refrigerator, and it won't come off. That's how strong it is. I don't know how he ever got it on and off his shirt, but yeah. So we're gonna start getting our pouch together, and then we will. Guys, why do I do this every time? We're gonna sew our strap first. Yep, make it for your Kindle, make it for your, what are those things called? Not a laptop, iPad, that type of device. Here is my strap. This is such a narrow one. A lot of times, you know, I like to go down one side and down the other, but that's usually when it's an inch or wider. This time, I'm just gonna stitch down the side where it's open, and that's gonna be plenty. But Gwenny, I was always wondering, like, once he had it and he took it off his shirt to wash it, how did he get them back apart in order to put it back on his shirt again, right? So I'm going to go 1/8 of an inch, sticking with my 2.0 stitch length because I love it. I also remembered to clean my sewing machine before we go live today. That guarantees I'm going to clean it at least twice a month, depending on how often I use it. I'm holding the 2 pieces of thread because with this machine, it can get sucked down and then the fabric gets stuck and stuff. But if I put tension on this thread, it keeps the thread from becoming a bird's nest on the back, which is no big deal. We can just cut it off. And it also allows me to make sure that the fabric is going to feed through okay, because it's a pretty narrow strip. And I'm using my fingers as a guide. I like to put them down on either side. That's why I like these tables, because I can rest my wrists on them or the side of my hand. And then my fingers, I just do this little thing like this, and this creates a guide to keep the fabric going straight. My right hand holds them down and my left hand keeps them in line. Doesn't work that great for a 1/4 inch seam, but it works great on long things like this. So there we go. I was looking this morning again to find a sewing machine repair people just to come out and service. I could take my Juki in to get it serviced, but I didn't want to take it to the same guy that I took my old brother to a few years ago. I found a guy that actually comes to your house. It's like this old-fashioned guy that has his little van with all of his parts. He sells sewing machines. He comes to your house. If I were to have a crisis right now, and if he was in my area, he would show up today and fix my machine immediately for me. Where the guy I took my old brother to, he had it for a week and a half, 2 weeks, and then it was like, whatever. All right, now, drink. I like that more and more, but he's been in business, this guy's been his name is Jimmy, he's been in business for 30 years. So decide which one is going to be your front. I think I like this guy. Then here's my back, so that'll be like that. I'm going to we put our pouch together, and we have our flap. The flap is going to go down like this. So we want to have it stitched to our back so that we bring it over the back and into the front, and it closes up the pouch. So with the right sides together and the Velcro part sticking up, again, I'm going to fold it in half, find the center, and I'm going to just do 1/8 of an inch top stitching holding stitch just to go along here and hold this down so I don't have to worry about it. The less things that I have to hold and pin, the happier I am. Yeah, isn't that exciting, Carol? I thought, wow. And I've looked so many times, but I must have just, use the right word. I always used, I think before I was using Brother's sewing machine because that's what I was repairing. This time I put the word Juki in it and he just popped right up and I'm like, nice. He doesn't have a website or anything. So I'll call him, I'll add him to my to be called list, which is always super long. I put it off all the time. Get him scheduled to come out and get my Juki all nice and pretty. Yeah, he does like, it's what we call a tri-county area here, so we have 3 out of 5 main counties that he does. So he does from like Port Charlotte all the way down to Naples. So it's just barely stitched on there. I really liked how that mat makes everything slide. So this is my back. This is my front. Now I want to make sure that I have the tops. I'm going to take my lining. I'm going to do the right side of my lining to the right side of my outer fabric. And using whatever seam allowance you like, 1/4 inch, 3/8, whatever the side of your, if you wanted to use the side of your presser foot and use that and consider that it, then go ahead and do that too, because that's what I used to use all the time when I was making things, whatever lines it up on the side of my sewing machine. So across the top, I'm going to sew my lining to my outer fabric. Give you guys a peek of my head all the time. I was doing videos, and when I got over to the sewing machine, I would lean over like this to get into my chair and slide my chair forward, and I could see my head in the camera. I'm like, oh look, my hair's not getting any more gray than it was. No bald spot, that's just nice. And for the rest, I'm just going to stick with the 2.0 stitch length because it works. So across 1. I'm going to do a little chain piecing. I'm going to take my second piece. Remember, we got our right sides together. We're sewing across the top. If you think about it, this is really the same way we made our zipper pouches. There's just no zipper. My small would cause it. Powder you up before you lean in front of your camera. So here we go. You can take it over and press it if you want. Wake up my iron. You can just give it a nice little finger press. Now I thought about top stitching it at this point, but then I thought, what if things don't line up perfectly? Because I did do like we do with bags, and we do top stitching, and I stitched all the way around, but I didn't want to have to worry about anything lining up. This is a small space to stitch in, but we can do it. It's not too bad. Oh yeah, I mean, I see my hands. I see when they're swollen. And I can see when they get all wrinkly. I can see my grandmother's hands sometimes. Sometimes they're just so inflamed. I'm like, uh-oh. Let me give these a good press. You guys can skip on. You don't need to see that. Just run my iron right across it. Now, if we were doing a zipper pouch, we would have zipper right here. And we would have both of our outer, both of our lining, but we're going to do, since we don't have zippers, we're just going to take these two, make sure we have our linings here and our outer fabric here. Morning, Saslat. And we're going to put these two together. Now, I was using clips for this, but I found that on this little bit of a tray, and if you don't have it and you just have your machine, the clips weighted this down and it made it super floppy. So I don't use pins very often, but I'm going to use pins. I'm going to match up these two lines right here. So I want those seam allowances there, so that my linings and everything match up nicely. And that's how you get your bags to look nice and even. You match up points like that. Then I'll do the same on this side. Now, just like any other bag, we're going to do this thing where we're going to turn it through the bottom. Robin, check the back leg of sewing. Oh, yeah. These things, they don't stay. These guys don't stay, they fold so easily. These guys, there's not much spring to them that they're constantly folding. They do. Normally it's not a problem because I don't normally even sew with this mat on it. I just have it on the table and it's frustrating. So we're gonna leave an opening down here at the bottom. I'm gonna just pin my corners and then I'm gonna complain if I forget to leave it open. But when on this one, because we always leave them on the bottom, I'll remember on this guy. But you guys have seen many times in the videos, we're like, oh, I forgot to sew that. You just get out your seam ripper and fix it. I was never a pinner. It's like, why do I have to take the time? I have to put pins in, then I have to take the time to take the pins out, and that's just, I don't have time. I need to sew, I need to create now. But when I don't pin, I end up having to re-sew things later on. So I take the time, find pins you like. I like these glass head ones, they're really thin, they're supposed to be good for quilting, but I don't know, they work. Whoop, got it away from the computer. Yeah. I put my seam ripper, when I set everything up, I made sure I put my seam ripper out because if I don't have my seam ripper near me, I always need it. So I'm trying to give myself good karma and not jinx myself. I put my seam ripper there, maybe I won't need it. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to back stitch and I'm going to go all the way around, sew the entire pouch and back stitch again, leaving maybe 2 inches open at the bottom. It's all going to depend on how wide your bag is. So maybe just a little bit from the corner, an inch in from each corner, and then leave that center part. A lot of times bag makers, clothing is 5/8 inch seam allowance, bags are 3/8. You can use whatever you want. See, when I had the clips in, this part would be like so heavy, it would be dragging, and that caused me to be annoyed. We don't want to be annoyed when we're sewing. I'm going to just figure out my spot, do a little back stitching. Pull out your pins as you go. No matter what you think, you really shouldn't sew over your pins. If you say, well, I don't care if it dulls my needle or if my needle breaks, but your needle, I've got glasses on and I've still gotten hit underneath my glasses with a broken needle, not from running over a pin, just because I think I was actually running over a zipper. And it could drop down into your machine and that's even worse. I'm gonna stitch up here. Keep my pins to the right so as I'm pulling them out. Some people will pin in the center so they never have to remove their pins, but I like to make sure everything's in the right spot on the edges. You know what we didn't do? I'm sitting here making a pouch for you guys without a handle. So if we were making the pouch without a handle, this is what we would do. I swear you guys come here just to see the mistakes so you can feel better about your mistakes. We all make mistakes and look, you catching on. And if you forgot to put your handle in, you can just unpick some of the stitches. So I'm just going to go on this side here. When I sew the top on, I do like to put the handle together. I'll take it to the sewing machine and I'll put some stitches on here. And then I like to tuck it in. And you could sew it to the back or to the lining, but I like to do that little stay stitch just like we did when we put the flap in. But I'll just go ahead and put a little clip on it because I'm right there. I'm going to blame everything on you guys. Would that be rude? I think that would be rude. But I get so sidetracked chatting with everyone and seeing what y'all are doing that we didn't do our Velcro, we didn't put our handle in, we didn't do any of the things we're supposed to. So you guys are following me as the leader of the pack and I am just totally making some issues here. Before we get any further, I could still do it, it'd be fine, but I want to do it and have it just to go through this. I don't want to go through my lining. So when I have my bag, if my lining wasn't sewn together, I'd have my flap and I would bring it over and see where it's going to land. on this piece here. So let's get up close. So I fold this over and I can see where my Velcro is going to land. So I have my other piece connected. I'll just pull this off. And I'm going to want to put it right there. So I can put some pins in it to hold it in place. That's another reason why I like to put the soft one here. It's easier to pin the soft in place than it is the crunchy rough part. So then I'll bring this up again, just double check. It's gonna hit, okay. And then as I'm sitting at the sewing machine, I will check to make sure it's laying nice and straight and adjust it then. See guys, you don't have to be absolutely perfect to make something. As long as it ends up looking good at the end and it functions, you're not gonna know any of these troubles that I had if you're not watching this video. When I put this pouch up on Instagram, for people who haven't watched the video, they're going to say, oh, that's a really cool pouch. I like the way you did the Velcro. And I'll be like, oh, thank you very much. And you'll never know that I totally messed it up. Because I didn't mess it up, I just sort of forgot a step and went back and fixed it. Said if you had to do it at this point here, it would be a little hard, but you could wrangle this into your sewing machine or you could hand stitch it. But it's just as easy to pop a couple of the seams and fix it and then restitch the side seams instead of trying to struggle afterwards. Or you could just hand sew a snap on it if you want, to put a cam snap on it. It would solve that problem too. There's always a way to fix it. Although sometimes fixing it means just cutting it apart and using it for something else. Well, that's smart, Carol. I have the little plastic container that the rotary blades come in. One of them says new and one of them says old. All right. There we have our little Velcro spot. Now my handle. When you're doing your handle, you want to be careful that when you put a handle in, you want to make sure if it's a longer one that you don't sew it into the seam on the way over. Some people say to just put it maybe a ½ inch from the top. I think that'll be okay. Since we've already sewn our tops, our lining on, we can see where the top of it is. I hear car doors. You hear car doors? Nobody's here. So I would take it to the machine, and within my seam allowance, I would just go ahead and stitch on that. But I'm just going to leave it like this. You could put a pin or clip it into this point here, just so it stays in place. Have I totally lost you? Everyone good? Oh, I don't know if they can be recycled. That's interesting. I'd love to hear that answer. Okay, I was on this side, so let me go back to this side. I'll just backstitch a little where I was to make sure nothing comes undone. So I make sure I can look underneath here, make sure that handle's just folded under so it's not there. I could feel it. It was a little bit too close for my comfort. Stop whatever seam allowance from the bottom. You can always spin it. Maybe you want to go one more stitch. Maybe you're okay. Took all my pins out, so I gotta hold it now. If you look at your foot, if you're doing a 1/4 inch, there's a little mark usually on almost every foot I've ever seen that lets you know when you're a 1/4 inch, when this little mark lines up with your fabric, you know you're a 1/4 inch away. And you can turn. They can't be recycled. $50 weight cotton thread. Look at the essentials from Connecting Threads. I find them on Amazon and on their website. Yeah, our mail's going up here too. I don't even think they're waiting for the new year. Everything's going up. If we had our handle poking out the side, because we were thinking that's where handles go, at this point when we sew it, our handle would be on the outside and we would end up cutting it off. So that's why we want to make sure that it's going on the inside. When I go over my handle, I'm going to backstitch over it a couple times. Just to give it a little reinforcement, because that's going to be a strain point. Backstitch. Voila. Yes, you could do it on a serger. Definitely, 100%. At least this part of it. I don't know about the rest, but that part you can do on a serger, because that'll just trim off any extra that you have. As long as it's safe. I don't have a serger, but as long as a serger can cut this off. Otherwise, just make sure it's short enough that it's not going to be an issue. I've heard people make bags on sergers. I don't know how they do it. They've even done zipper pouches. You're welcome. As always, to keep the bulk out of our seams, right there's our corner. I'm going to trim it. Let's see, can you see how it's just a little bit away from, there we go, away from the thread. I don't want to cut through my thread. And if my seam allowance is a little bit larger, I can trim off some of the excess. Check everything looks pretty good. Trim my corners. If you trim the bottom, you don't want to trim any of the fabric that is at your opening. You want to leave, you don't want to trim it down to a 1/4 inch. It's much easier to tuck it in and sew it from the other side if you leave it a little bit wider. So I never trim down that section, but sometimes I'll trim a little on the sides or the other part of the bottom. Again, just to get the bulk out of the seams so you don't have a weird rounded edge. And then I'm going to trim this off. Excuse me. Rid of my mess again. These are really easy to turn. So we're going to go in from the lining side. All the way down. And we're going to be here for a little bit today. We're going to go a little longer than usual because I want to make one more pouch with y'all, if you don't mind. Thanks, Dinah. Come on back later. Where are you going? Good. Okay, for Mom and Pop. If you haven't made one of these before, come on back and check out, because this is the one we're going to make next. We're going to learn how to make a strap like this, and we're going to add this on. And we're also going to do our button closure. So we got a lot going on today. Thanks, Gwenny. These? You're going to laugh. These are Walmart special. These are from Walmart. These are from Walmart. Now, I do have fancy shears or whatever. Where are you guys? There they are. I do have gingers. Let me see. Are they... I don't know if they're shears or scissors, but I do have the nice fancy ginger. I just don't like to use them on cutting through thick things, like cutting off on the handle and stuff. Oh, I lost my crochet hook. But yeah, Walmart special. I don't like the ones from the Dollar Tree. I have bought those, and they are the Westcott. Now, Walmart has Westcott now. I don't like the Westcott. I have these. I use these for cutting like paper and cardboard because they're dull right out of the package. These don't have a brand on them. They just say stainless steel. Oh, you guys have enough light? I never put the lights down today. Let's see what these say. They all say stainless steel, even on the plastic. Oh, sorry, you guys can't see a thing. But they just say stainless steel here and there. I really like them. They're great scissors. They stay sharp really long. I have those knife sharpeners that you just put them in between those two roller things and sharpen them. I sharpen these scissors on it all the time because I only pay like $1 for them, so I don't care if, you know, something happens to them. They're fine. Hold on. Gotta get you guys going again. So let me get back in here. I'm going to... Hey, you're still here. Yeah, Kai scissors all the way, but I don't have any of those. I love the Kai ones because they have the serrated edges. I have one pair that I use for batting, not Kai scissors, but I would say this came in a package at Walmart with other ones, but it has the flat bottom and it's got the serrated right here. And I've been using these for 10, 15 years to cut batting because I can cut it on the floor when I trim it around a quilt, and they are super sharp. Well, I don't mind cutting, I won't cut paper with these. These are really nice and sharp. Those are my good cheap scissors. I'll cut paper with these. It doesn't bother me. But I won't cut paper with like good scissors because these aren't cheap. They're expensive scissors, so I'm going to take care of them. But these, it's whatever. So I pop out these corners even though I'm going to invert them to put them in the lining. I make sure everything is pulled out as far as I can. I like to use, this is a size K. It's a steel hook or whatever. I don't think it's stainless steel. It's just a metal crochet hook because it has the rounded tip on it. I can jam this in real hard. I don't have to worry about breaking it. Then I come through with my little flamingo point turner and I can do the delicate work of just gently popping that corner out because I don't want to break my flamingo, because I imagine that this would snap real easily. It's plastic. Here's our handles on the outside. So now on the bottom, because I left that extra fabric, it just wants to go in there nice and easy. I'll take it over and I'll give it a press, or I can just finger press it. I'll take it to my sewing machine and I'm going to do that little 1/8 of an inch back stitch and close this up, or you can whip it by hand. They also have that tape you can put in there, like hemming tape and stuff like that. I just sew it. Hello, hello. I love good cheap scissors because I like to have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 just hanging up, 6 more behind me, and then I have them all in project bags too. I have scissors all over the place. You never know when you're going to need a pair of scissors. You know, you have to cut something. You need to have a pair of scissors. A back stitch. Now sometimes I'll take, maybe I'll take this. I use a double pointed knitting needle, a stiletto, my little seam ripper, and I'll put it in the hole and I'll hold it and I'll just kind of bring it back towards me gently just to hold that hole so I know exactly where the end is. And putting a little bit of tension on it, it's going to lay everything nice and flat. You can put pins in, but I don't want to remove that many pins in such a small place. So I can hold it nice and go steady. And when I get there, I know I need to go past that spot. Back stitch a little, and trim it. Okay. Move my mat. We're going to bring in the iron. We're going to give this a good steam because this one's done. As long as I got that flap on there right and I didn't put it on there the wrong way, we're in good shape. So I'm gonna roll this just kind of like this with your fingers just to get that seam to come out nice and flat. I'm gonna put it Velcro side down, so I don't know if I melt the Velcro. I don't want to take a chance. I think these going to sleep is really great. I can see 20, yeah, there's just, you gotta have scissors, right? I think it's really good to have a nice, good pair of scissors. Where, oh where, oh where, oh where. Ah. I won this little scissors needle book thing a long time ago on a blog, but it came with these really cute scissors, little tiny embroidery ones, and they are super, super sharp that I use these for all of my hand sewing and my EPP projects. And I can keep everything right in there, and it's great. Hi, Swarzies. Don't come in here and yell at us. We're working hard today. Lay down, take a nap. Give it a nice steamy press. You can press the lining if you want. It's going to be going back inside, so it doesn't matter. Oh, one more thing, we'll go ahead and stitch around it. You can skip this part if you want. If you're new and it's a little bit hard for you to get. I think I have. Gracie, you're doing something wrong. You don't have enough scissors. You're probably buying the nice scissors, which is why. I mean, I'm buying cheap scissors so I can have a lot of them. I like when it's school time and they have the packages of scissors where you can get a whole bunch of them. I specifically put scissors wherever, well, I'm on my own now, so it doesn't matter. But when it was the 5 of us, I would put my scissors out in the open where the family could see them. So if they saw the scissors, they're going to use them. So I take my good scissors and I tuck them away where they can't get to them. So if they have to go looking for them, then you know they're not going to look. All right, Bootsy, bye. You go enjoy your nap. Hi, Vicky. Oh yeah, I have mine on a curtain rod on the hook. I've shown this before when I do another tour after I put the bookcases up, and I hang all of them on here. And then McDonald's had these glasses. They have different ones. They have Shrek ones and they have the Disney ones. Come to find out they have lead, so you can't drink out of these. You get lead poisoning. But I love the glasses and I'm not giving them back, so I use them to store my scissors in on one of the bookshelves. So you can still see my fun glasses. They collect lots of dust. See, lots of dust. But then I can easily grab my scissors for batting. I've got denim. And then these are just random. I have a very dusty house. So there we go. You can consider this done. But I'm going to do a little top stitching. See, it's going to close. Where's my phone? Put my phone in. I have very soft touch Velcro, so it's not like the super strongest, but it's fine. So there you go. It's going to stay nice and safe. If you put it in your purse, you're going to stop it from getting scratched up. And the Velcro holds enough. This phone is not connected. No one's paying for it. I don't even know if I can even sell it. So I don't even know what it is other than it's a Samsung. So it does stay nice. So I'm going to take this, come back over here. And I'm going to stitch around it. If you have any issues where your stitching is not perfectly even and stuff, you can always skip this part. I've got my flap up. I'm going to start on this inside part here, because when you open it up, you're going to see right here. So, but if I start on the inside here, and when I get my 2 runs of stitching together, if I'm a little off, you're not going to see them. But if I do it here, you're going to see it. So I've learned that it's all about hiding my mistakes. It's not, yes, you can correct your mistakes and not always have an issue, but sometimes it's just going to happen, and I'd rather just hide my possible oopsies. Again, I'm going to bring my thread to the top. Sometimes my needle pokes me because I get poked by needles all the time. Then just about 1/8 of an inch. You can go 1/4 of an inch. That's fine too. And then stitch around. If you use matching thread or thread that blends in or whatever, you might not see it. So if you get a little wonky, it'll be okay. Now the side seams are pretty thick, so just go a little slow if your machine gets grumpy with you. Same thing with the flap, there's extra thickness in that area. My crochet hook's underneath my machine. Is that where my problem is? I'm a mess. I'm going to be sliding it back out of the way in a second anyways. Keep my handle out of the way so I make sure I don't sew that in some weird way. And back to the beginning. In the beginning I always had such a hard time lining up the stitches when I go back around from a circle like that. It's such a struggle. I've gotten much better at it, but like I said, sometimes I just get a little bit off and nobody's going to notice. Oh, yep, you're right. There it is. Nobody's going to notice but me, but I don't want to see it. Ta-da! You can choose whatever side you want to put the handle on. I just kind of put it wherever I put it, and then that's the end of it. Hello, Beverly. We're still going. We're going to make another pouch. We probably have got another hour left in us if everyone's good. I turned the air down a little bit, but I'm starting to get hot. Nobody complained about the lights. I'm just going to pop them back up then because they're getting hot. Is that okay? We're still bright enough to see. But then there you go. There is my cell phone pouch. I could put my sunglasses in here. Maybe if I don't wear sunglasses, but if I had fancy sunglasses, I could put them in there. I could put my scissors or other things. There we go. Ta-da! Okay, so let's move on to the next one. These are all going to be in the shop unless I think I'm going to keep the last one. I do like this one, but I think I might have enough fabric of the balloons to make another one. But I want to show you the pocket, and I want to show you to do this strap. Let's get a drink. I'm a little dry. Just checking all the comments. Thank you, everyone. I'm glad you guys are hanging out and you don't mind, because if you want to say, hey, Robin, we've had enough, if majority rules, I will go ahead and shut down the live and I'll make a tutorial video for the rest of it. But if y'all got time, I got time. We'll just keep going. And if y'all leave me, then you'll just have this to watch later on. We are it's 1:30, so that's about an hour and a half into it. So we're going to get to the second pouch if you guys need to come back. Oh, your mama's here. Hi, Mama. Isn't it gorgeous? It was a gift. Someone purchased it from T Quilts. So T Quilts has the little rainbow wooden iron. It's great because it's rounded on the edge, so it's good for poking out. It's nice and sturdy. I've dropped it a few times and it hasn't broken, and then of course it's got the good little iron to it. I've done the quilting and stuff on the next pouch, so we're okay there. But let me see. I have to cut some things. I gotta sew the button. More fabric that I found while cleaning and organizing. Let me go ahead and clean up all of this so that we have a nice clean workspace. I don't know about you guys, but I like to clean as I go because I don't like being buried. Sometimes you'll sew over something and you didn't want to, or let me see, we don't need these, or you'll lose something, button in a Velcro or something like that. Hang the scissors back up. We're gonna need these. We don't need these. Don't need this. I clear off most of my table. I have little containers back here that I keep things in. Question. Oh, Vicki, I'm going to be doing another pouch. So in a way, we are going to start over, but I'm just going to show you different things. In the first one, we did this Velcro with the flap and the handle, but on this one, I'm going to show you how to make the little button closure. And we're going to do this detachable wristlet strap. So once you know how to do this, you can put this on a zipper pouch. I think I might start putting some of these on my zipper pouches. I like a handle on them. And I don't always like, sometimes this feels awkward. I like how this one is more flexible and moves. Plus you can take the handle off if you don't want to use it. And this is what we're doing right now, but later on we're also going to do this. What are those necklaces that you wear where you put, sorry, too much talking and work, I can't remember words. When you you wear this around your neck and you put your ID badge on it. What's that called, guys? You guys know what I'm talking about. All I can think is key fob, and that's not it. Anyway, it's the same thing. But we are going to remove these out. Lanyard! Ding, 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 ding. Becky, you always get it. Becky's got the brain power. She got the memory. I don't have the words. Look at this fabric. See, I clipped all the pieces on so I wouldn't lose anything. Hold on. Isn't that fun fabric? I really like that. Oh, for pop, yeah. All right, these are my extras, so I don't need that. So what I did this time, since I may keep this for myself, is I did the really matchstick type quilting on it. And I've cut these for my phone. This is going to be 5 inches wide by 8 inches high. Remember, you're going to add about 1.5 inches or even 2 inches if you use a bigger seam allowance to whatever your phone is by height and width. A lot of times when we're quilting, we add it to all 4 sides, but this time we only need to add it to those measurements. I like it. And then I have this purple for the lining. So let's just take a breath. Let me slow my voice down so I can think straight. I have my pieces, my outside, front and back, my 2 lining pieces, and these are all cut the same size. Now on this one, I'm putting the pocket on, and I'm going to teach you how to do faux piping. The pocket is just 2 pieces of fabric, but if you take your good fabric that you're going to see, and you take your lining fabric, and you make your lining fabric at least a 1/2 inch bigger in height, when we sew this all together, it's going to create that faux piping. We need our pocket to be the same width as our pouch, and what I decided is I just took my pouch, I grabbed one of the finished ones. I'm like, okay, so this is a pouch. Well, let me see, where would I like the pocket to be? Do I want a pocket all the way to the top, or do I want it down here? And I decided that about 3/4 of the size, about a quarter down. So I said, oh, 5 inches looks good. I'll lose a little bit for the seam allowance. And that gave me this pocket. Definitely big enough to put a card in. You could put Velcro in here or snap or something if you wanted, but you can put a card in easily. You can put some receipts in it when you're shopping. Whatever you need to do, the football schedule for the kids or something. So I just thought having a pocket would be nice. For this little part here, the standard size for this is a 2x2 square, and so I have that. And then for my handle, since I'm sticking with the 1/2 inch handle, I went with the 1/2 inch D-ring. The little D-ring because it's shaped like the letter D, and then this is called a swivel hook because it spins around and it's a hook. So our first thing, let's sew our pocket first. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to do them right sides together. I'm still going to line them up at the top. So I will have this extra hanging down. So let me see, what do I want for the top? Do I want the purple or the pink? I think I want the pink to go against this. And then I'm going to stitch it with the 1/4 inch seam allowance right along this top edge. And I'm just going to ignore that they're 2 different lengths because that part's not going to matter yet. Now, nothing that we're doing is really like earth-shattering, but I tell you, it's just kind of exciting. I had a lot of fun working on this pouch. You're gonna want more food. Why didn't you just eat the food I gave you when I gave you the food, young lady? Hey, you're such a nibbler. There you go. There you go. My cats are weird. There's living room food, there's bathroom food, there's mom's studio food. It's like it's different food no matter where they go, but don't realize it's all the same food. So I've stitched them together right across the top. Stupid iron's asleep again. I'm gonna set my seam. Ooh, who's throwing a party? I want to go. See, I'm going to press it. I'm going to put my lining at the top since that's the longer piece. And I'm just going to press towards my lining. And when I bring it down, I'm going to line up the bottoms so that they're equal. And just give it another press. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. We just created a pocket with faux piping. What a nice fun accent. I think this is great to use on the outside of a tote bag and a purse and stuff like that. Let me just move this out of the way. I think it's one of those things that's it's super easy to do, but you've just created like this fancy thing. You know, people are going to look at it and are going to go, oh, wow, where's my bag? Oh, wow, look at, she put piping on it, she put binding on it or something like that. No, we just cheated and we did it like that. So there is that. I'm going to decide. I wanted the same fabric as my actual outer fabric so that when I put this down and I covered it all up, I didn't lose that fun fabric. So definitely with the balloons and stuff, I didn't want to lose the fabric. So I can decide tops from bottoms, figure out where I want it. This purple fabric has these white streaks, so this doesn't stick out that much, but I think it's still nice. So what I like to do is, I'm going to go step by step. Take you guys along for the journey, and maybe I'll remember all my steps. I like to take my lining, my pocket, and I'm going to stitch just across the bottom, less than a 1/4 inch, because that's going to be about my seam allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that little stay stitch about 1/8 of an inch, just so I don't have to pin a whole bunch of pieces together and hold it all together. This is going to stay in one spot, and I won't lose it while I'm working. So that's stitched together, and see I have that nice little peek inside of some fun fabric. I like this fabric, but I didn't want it to be a major accent, but I did want it to be that little tab on the side. So for this tab, it's a 2x2 square. Yep, no green. We had green, but you showed up at the end, so it's safe, Sass. We're okay. So I'm going to fold this in half and give it a press, just like everything else we've done, all of our other straps. Then open it up, bring each side to the center. It's just a small one, so I'm going to do it all in one motion. Bring the top down to the center and the bottom up to the center. Fold it together again. And I'll clip it. I'm going to top stitch down just one side on the yellow one. I did 2 because my thread was really visible, and I thought it'd be more symmetric if I did 2. This piece is our button strap. Now our button strap, again, all the sizes of anything that I have an actual size for is down below in the description box. So this strap for my button loop is 6x2. Same process. And I thought this is the lining fabric, so I thought this would be okay to have a little bit of a pop. a little bit of a peek of what is on the inside of my bag, even though most people aren't going to see the inside of my pouch. Bring the top down. Still, no, I don't think this needs any type of interfacing or stabilizer or batting or anything like that. Folding it over all of these times is going to make it sturdy enough. And then the last thing I need to do before I get to the machine and start sewing all of this, wait, do you need to top stitch? No, I didn't top stitch the piping. You can. Did I do it on the yellow one? I did do it on the yellow one. I did a little bit of top stitching right just down along there, but then I thought, you know what, it did nothing to it. Because it is sewn into the bottom of my bag, this part's not going to creep up. I'm going to stitch all along the sides. It's going to secure that little faux piping right in there. You can stitch right underneath it, like in the ditch right there, but I don't see where, it just didn't do anything for me. And since you can't see my purple thread, oh, I need to remember to change my thread. You can't see my purple thread on any of this project, so I thought, you know, why bother taking that time? I don't need to. You can run a little fancy stitch like a row of hearts underneath there, or you can do a buttonhole stitch or anything crazy like that. Just putting away some stuff so I don't lose it. Like I said, it's easier to put things away than to misplace them later. While we're here, I want to show you a little trick. This thread from Connecting Threads, this bottom I've shown you before, it comes off like this. But, so I don't have to keep looking up what number it is, what the color of the thread is. I wrote the number and the word silver on the bottom. So anytime I get this thread, I know it's the silver thread. And I don't have to guess, is it the light gray? So when I want to reorder some, I'll know exactly what number it is, and I can just look there and order it. Now these are the older versions, so you don't know what color it is. There's no numbers on it anywhere. You just have to guess. What we doing? So now this is my handle. I put some lightweight interfacing on it because I wanted my handle for my bag. I thought this handle's perfectly fine. It is fine. I don't know if I'll put interfacing on them if I sell them in the shop, if I sell them, but it's sturdy enough and it's fine because it's folded over 4 layers. I just wanted a little interfacing. So we're sticking with the same thing where we're folding it over, wrong sides together to find the halfway mark. Now my handle, let's see. Reversible wrist strap. So my wrist strap is 2 inches wide by 14 inches long. Because we are sticking with, normally I would do 4 inches for a bag, but because we are using the 1/2 inch D-rings, if I went 4 inches, it would bring it down to 1 inch, and then I can use a larger D-ring. But this, I feel like that would be overkill if we used a big heavy duty one. It would put too much weight to it and it would be too big for the project. So this one's fine. Bye, Marie. Have a good afternoon. Sue's about to, gosh, you know, you really can't even fire the internet company because in most areas your options are pretty limited. Plus you're into it with a contract and all that stuff. You're really just out of luck. Alrighty now. Let me thread my machine. Yeah, totally at their mercy. And they show up whenever they feel like it too. They're like, oh, sorry. I mean, we've had to wait 2 weeks before. Like, oh, sorry, can't come out for 2 weeks. I'm like, really? nowadays, you know, when everyone's job is dependent on the internet and stuff and school and things like that. Oh, that is weird, Vicky. I've given up completely on my self-threader. You guys have let me know that it's not me, that this machine is just hit or miss, so I just thread it myself. The eye on these needles are pretty good. Even I can see them. I need new glasses, but I can still see them. Or at least I need to get my eyes checked. It's been a couple years. All right, so with this piece is, so with the little, I say so too many, sorry. This little piece right here, I'm gonna stitch down one side, that's this one. This one is my button loop. I'm going to stitch down both sides on my button loop. And then on my handle, I'm not gonna do anything on my handle yet. I don't wanna get into that one yet. That one we've gotta do something special for. I'm just gonna stitch these two to start with. And I'm stitching down 1/8 of an inch on the side that's open so that I close it up, of course. There's one. This one I want to do 2 sides. Just spin it right around and I can get the other side. Bye, Gisela. Bye to anyone who's left. Hello to all the people who have shown up. Goodbye to everyone who's left. See you all guys next time. Okay. This is my back. I'm going to leave that one alone. This is my front. So my pouch is going to be like this. So if I want my handle on the left side, I'll put it on the left. If I want it on the right, I put it on the right. I'm going to fold. This is my little 2-inch square. Before I put it on my bag, I need to take my D-ring. I'm going to slide my little D-ring onto here. I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to stitch across this end just so that I don't have to worry about that D-ring sliding off anywhere. Really close to the edge so it's in the seam allowance and we don't see it. There we go. Here's my back, here's my front. So I want to put this on the inside, so I want to face it to the inside. So when I put it in and I sew it all together, it'll be on the outside. So if we put it like this, when we sew it together, it's going to get cut off. So I need to put it on the inside. And let's see how far down we want to put it. We're going to lose 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch on our seam when we do the top. So I'm going to put it down so that the top of it is at the 1 inch mark. This one I put down a little bit further, so I think I want to go a little higher this time. I'll let it stick out past just a smidge past there. And again, I'm going to stitch it down to this piece of fabric so I don't have to put extra pins and clips to hold it in place. It also adds that little extra bit of security because I have another line of stitching on it. What machine am I using? I'm using a Brother CS6000i. I picked it up on a really good sale on Amazon as my second machine. I normally sew on, especially when I'm doing quilting, I have a Juki HZL F600 that I absolutely love, but it needs to go in and get cleaned out and have a little bit of a tune-up and make sure everything's going good. It's working perfectly fine. I've just been using this one for quick little projects, and I'm saving that one for if I need to quilt something. I froze there for a second. Okay, so I have that on. Here is my button loop. Again, the button is going to be, the loop that we do is attached to the back so that we can bring it around to the front and close it. But before I do any of that, I need to give it a nice little press. And we're going to do something a little bit fancy with this. Figure all my kids grew up, but no, I still have cats. Okay, here we are. When we put this, we're going to bring it around. Sometimes I stitch across the bottom, sometimes I just hold it. But you see how we have this loop? What we want to do is let me stitch across these. I find that this holds it together just nicely, and I'll show you. Again, really close to the edge so it stays in the seam allowance and it's not seen. So I get stabbed with pins all the time and I don't have enough fingers. So I just stitched it together to hold. So what I'm going to take it to the iron and I'm going to bring it up like this. I want to create that triangle at the top. So it looks like that. Wake up, iron. So I bring these together. And I bring that little triangle down. And that's the part that's going to loop over our button and hold it in place. So you want to have that little bit of a, you want that tip sewn down. You can create how big you want. You can have it a little bit wider. I just put it together so that these pieces match up. Bring it down. And what we're going to do, after I iron it, let me iron it. Stay together. Try to make it look semi-even. And we're going to take it to the sewing machine, and on this line right here, I'm going to backstitch here, stitch all the way across and backstitch. And that's going to hold that triangle point in place so that when it goes over my button, everything, it's going to hold onto the button and keep it all nice and tight. And if you stitch over directly on that line, you're not adding another line of stitching, and you don't have to worry about it. This is about enough for me, but when you make an actual, like a leather purse or the really nice bags that everyone makes, there are so many little itty bitty steps like this that you have to go through. Reading, catching up, catching up, catching up, everyone's good. So there is that part. So our next step is our handle and a drink. Now normally if we were making a bag handle, we would just stitch down both sides and be done. But we need to be able to put our little swivel clasp on. Put your little clasp on. What you want to do is, without twisting anything, you want to open up the two ends. You want to bring these back together so that you can sew them right sides together, and it's going to form a loop. But you want to make sure that you didn't twist it anywhere. And then give it a nice little stitch across. 1/4 inch seam allowance if you want. You can go a little bit more. This is the first time I don't remember making one of these before, and when I did it, I was like, oh, of course I saw it on Instagram, and I love the way they did it, but I've never tried it before. Bye, Carol. So we have everything stitched together. We want to press this open. I just go ahead and finger press it. And then we're going to fold everything back to the way it was, to the center, and in half again. So you can double check to make sure nothing is twisted, and then you've got your little swivel hook on there. Everything's going to be good. Now we have to stitch those sides together. I'm going to stitch down both sides again. It's a little bit tricky because you have to keep everything together and you're sewing in a circle. But I start just a little bit either before or after that seam, whatever works for you. About 1/8 of an inch, I'm going to go from the edge. I got rid of I had DirecTV for a long time, for many, many years. I got rid of that because it's just too much money. They keep adding on to it all the time. You don't watch half the channels anyway. But now they get you with this individual app thing where you can just buy all these individual ones, but before you know it, you're already spending over $100 anyway. So here I go, and I'm doing the right hand side one. I'm just going to stitch 1/8 of an inch from the edge. I'm going to go slow over that seam. And as I'm doing it, I'm just bringing this loop down, just like when we're sewing the bags and stuff. I'm doing the folded one first where we're putting them together. That way it's out of the way and I don't have to worry about it. Again, using my fingers as a guide, just keep moving that little hook. Trim my threads. I sew the strip 3/4 of the way around, then slip a ring on, sew ends together, then finish. Yeah, I've seen it done that way too. It's just, I can just pop it on like this, and I know I don't have to, I don't know, it worked for my brain. I'm sure if I tried it your way, I'd be like, oh, that works too, but I don't know. We all do things differently, and it's good to see them in different ways, but this works. I think, I have seen it your way for the wrist straps for key fobs. My kids don't really watch. Sometimes my daughter might pop in, but they would never be on this late, 2 hours in. But I've had Netflix since 2013, I noticed. But I've been paying $15 or $20 or whatever it is I pay a month, and I don't think anyone watches Netflix. So I'm doing a little experiment, since as a family we all pay for different apps and then we all share them, that I changed the password, the Netflix password, the other day. And then if they don't ask me in the next 30 days what the password is because they can't get on the Netflix, then I'm just going to cancel it, because that means nobody's watching it. I've got Disney Plus. I did the Disney, Hulu, ESPN package, which might work out really good if the Olympics actually happen this summer, because then I can watch them on ESPN. And I'm going to keep going until I get to where I started. Go past it a little bit and back stitch. Uh-oh. Sharks! I do Amazon Prime for the packaging and the shipping, and it's a bonus that I get to watch things. I'm just going to pull, I'm not going to disconnect my thread, I'm just going to pull it out a little bit. And then you can flip it, spin it, move it however you can to get yourself to the other side. And then I'm just going to start stitching. And then I'll trim off that extra bit that I pulled out. Excuse me. I mean, I could cut the thread and pull it to the top and do all that, but this works. Although it is now on my foot. Had to be a smarty pants, Robin, didn't you? And then just keep Moving my swivel hook. Of course, this works for any straps if you're doing leather, cork, denim. It works for the lanyard. Just want to trim off those bits so I don't get them all tangled up. Thank you. Yeah, I thought. I asked my kids, do you watch Netflix? You watch? No, we don't watch it. We don't watch it. But then you can look on Netflix and see who signed in. So if you kind of know what devices they're watching, and I'm like, I don't know. I think they might have signed in a couple times. Well, we'll find out. I only go to Netflix and watch stuff because I'm paid for it, so I force myself. But there's nothing I really want to watch that I can't already get on Paramount Plus, Hulu, Disney, all those things. There we go. Now some people have like pop rivets and stuff that they can put in this. Oh yeah, all of my passwords are different. Some people will bring this around and they'll put a pop rivet in it, but I'm just gonna stitch across it. Now this is the seam where I sewed it together when I flipped it, so I just moved this up a little bit, and I'm going to stitch about 1/8 of an inch from the seam on this side, and then I'm gonna do a second line on this side so that this won't be a weak point. So if anything happens in some reason, whatever, I mean, it's folded over 4 times and stitched on both sides, but if it becomes a weak spot, I will have stitching on both sides of it, and that way it won't pull off. Bye, Sue. So sorry. We'll see you next time. We're pretty much close to just putting the pouch together. The only thing you'll miss, you might have to catch up, is if you want to know how to put a button loop on. The internet says, Robin, you've been talking too long. You're not supposed to talk this long. Go. Just go slow because you are going through a lot of layers. Back stitch at the beginning and end. Just trim these up. Pull it out a little bit, and I'll do this side. You just want to make sure you're far enough away from your swivel hook that you're not going to get stuck on it and try to sew through it. It's away from my foot. There we go. Okay. I'll clean those stitches up in a little bit, but there we go. We have our wrist strap. I can hook this. So I was thinking about making a long one for these. I want to eventually start taking my phone and going on walks and stuff and doing videos that way. And I have the ring on the back, so I thought about making a long one of these, clipping it on there so that when I'm holding it, no, I don't get paid to watch anything. Nobody pays me. Nobody pays me to watch TV. So that way I can hook it, so if I drop my phone, because I get the dropsies, then I'll have this little wrist strap to hold them. Oh, you guys can't see because I'm not down low enough. So yeah, I could just hook this onto my phone on the little ring, and then I can hold it and I won't have to worry about it. You can do it with your keys and everything like that. Yeah, there are a lot of Netflix original series, and I've watched most of them. But I don't know if they're enough to keep me. From the ones that I pick and choose and watch, I don't know if they're enough to keep me interested to stay. So I'm not going to hook this on because I can just hook it on afterwards, so I can leave that off. So here's that. Here's this. So this is my front. This is my back. I want to put my button thing on. So when I put my buttons, I want to have it when I fold it over. So I want to have this part on the front. So I want to put that down. Consider that right sides together. I just always do the halfway thing. You can have it any way you want, but it just seems halfway seems the smart way to do it. I'll just stitch that down a little bit to tack it down. Yes, put two, if you put two of these hooks on, you can put the crossbody on it and then you don't have to worry about it. Here's our back. We're going to put our linings on again. I think I have everything attached now, right? My handle, my button. I'll sew my button on afterwards. Right sides together. If your lining has a directional fabric, make sure you're putting it however you want to look at it. If you want to look in and put it on upside down so you can look down and see it right side up, that works. Guys, we're at the last end of it. With the last stretch. Programs have seasons and episodes. I like series. I mean, a movie's great, but I like to get to know the characters, and I like to follow them through and have them, they're like real people. I know it's a TV show, but they're like real people because I'm getting into it, and I want to know how they're growing, how they're changing, they're getting married and having kids and stuff. I like to see all of that in a TV show. Like, I love CSI, but you really don't, you just see murders and crimes every week. You don't see them grow as people and stuff. I'm watching Elementary and Psych, so you're seeing them grow, you're seeing them meet people and have relationships and stuff. I kind of like that. I like the same thing with my books. I'm going to go over the buttonhole twice, back stitch over it. Then I'll just bring the next one up. Make sure you're sewing it at the top. I'll just chain piece this one. See, if you were making a bunch of these for a show, you can just get yourself all set up and just go one after the other. I haven't really, I think I only watched 5 minutes of When Calls the Heart or whatever it's called. I don't know, I guess I was worried I wasn't going to like it. I don't like to get involved. I like to watch more than one episode because I feel like I need to give that show more time than to just watch it for one episode, just to know if you're going to like it or not. And right sides together. I really feel like I'm missing something, but everything's just going together nicely. That, where's my pins? Do we have any questions? Thank you guys for everyone that's still hanging out here and haven't run off to the next thing. I'm gonna again leave the bottom open. Right, aren't the colors really nice? That's why normally I don't keep anything. I don't keep a lot of things unless I mess it up. But I really like this. This was a fat quarter and this was a fat quarter that one of you guys sent me because you saw that I've been using up a lot of my scraps. So you shared some of, either you purchased them or you shared them with me. So I thought that was very nice and generous, and it's just perfect. Uh-oh, Vicky, I hope you feel better. That's got to be from the pain. Oh, tapioca pudding. Oh. I think that's going to be enough pinning for me. start at the end, at the bottom, the lining. Oh, Gwenny, you have to email me for your mailing, for my mailing address. I was doing the post office box, but one, it was costing money, and I have to go up there all the time. If you guys like to surprise me, I never know when a package is, I don't always know when a package is coming, so I don't always run up to the post office. And not that I think you guys should send me something, but if I break up my day and I go to the post office and the P.O. box is empty, I kind of feel sad. You know, it just feels sad. But if I sit at home and I go and I check my mail and there's nothing in it, I'm perfectly fine because I didn't leave the house. There was no expectation. But mostly to save me from having to run up to the post office several times a week and to spend the money, I just ask people to email me at my RsIslandCrafts@gmail.com, and I just give you my home address. My mailing address, it's not a secret. It's out there on the web. I've hidden it wherever I can, but you can't completely hide yourself. I just ask that, you know, you don't fly down from Canada and come visit me without letting me know ahead of time. Morzy, what is your problem, young lady? I can hear you. Uh-oh, hold on. Pin down, pin down. There it is. We can't have pins on the floor. Backstitch over that little bit for the handle. We don't have a long handle in, so no surprise house guests. Actually, well, okay, here's the secret for all of you guys. If you surprise me, just kind of, my window's right here in the front of the house. Just peek, because if anyone knocks on my door, I'm going to peek out this window and decide if I'm going to answer it. Because we have the religious group that likes to come, and we've got the guys that, do you want me to cut your tree? Hey, you want a new roof? We would love to take all your money and not put a roof on for you. Want me to wash your car? I'll wash your car for money. I just don't answer my door. Pretty much like I don't answer my phone. Go. Wake the iron back up. See, these scissors are really nice and sharp. I like these. I'm going through 2 layers of cotton batting, 2 layers of fabric, 4 layers of the tab. Oh yeah, they're everywhere, right? I have a palm tree out front that it's to the point where it's not safe for me. I live alone. I don't want to climb on a ladder if I'm alone. And if I asked my kids to come over, my daughter would come over and she'd want to climb on the ladder and do it herself. And she has a job. I don't want her to take a chance of getting hurt. And I don't want to fall off the ladder and lay there on the ground until someone notices me. So it's one of those things that it's a dangerous thing to go on a ladder when you live alone. So I don't do it. So I just wait till the branches get low enough and they rot enough, and I just pull them down by hand. It works. Pull my corners out. I'm going to go down here. No solo ladder climbing. Yeah, no, I've heard of too many people that have fallen down, broken their legs, broken their back, and they've just laid there. Now, granted, I'm on a very busy street, but again, busy street, they go fast. That doesn't mean they're going to actually stop and say, oh, look, there's some crazy lady laying on the ground in her yard. When Rob was sick, we had a whole bunch of people when they were doing the road at that time, and I was getting Rob out of the car, and when we were walking to the house, he fell down onto the ground and couldn't get back up. All those guys looked at us and watched, and no one came over to help, and I had to wait until he caught his breath and everything, and I could help him get him off the ground. I mean, afterwards, I learned that you can call. Here, I'm sure it's the same way everywhere. You can call the non-emergency number at the police station, and they'll send the fire department over, just one of those little red trucks like they have, and they'll help you get up off if you've fallen outside or if you fall in the house, so that the caregiver doesn't have to hurt themselves picking up the person up off of it. And they don't have lights and sirens going, so it's not as embarrassing. But yeah, I can fall down and nobody's gonna come help me. They're just gonna drive on by. So I have everything all set. This one came out right. I'm just gonna sew up my my lining. And then I'll show you, again, we've done pockets before like this. I'll show you what happens if you do the pocket the wrong way. I love it when my kids help out, but my daughter works so hard. Justin has a bad heart, so he can't. Robbie is working one job, but he works at 3 or 4 different stores, so he's always busy. And he's 22, and that's a different age, and he's a different type. So Miranda always wants to be very helpful. I just either can't wait for her, or I don't want her to get hurt, because she needs to make the money. I can live with a tree that's ugly, but I can't live with her being injured and not being able to work to pay her bills. I feel too guilty for that one. Plus, she got into a small accident several years ago, and her back, you know how it is, once you hurt your back, it's just never the same. So her back is always I just try not to do anything. The branches will fall down eventually. Let me pop this in. Stitch around the top first, and then we'll do that. We'll do the pocket information. Excuse me 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay. Oh, a little inside pocket would be good too. It would really be small, but you could definitely put one in there for a card. You can always, again, you can make this any size you want. If you want to make it for the crossover bag and have it as a purse, just make everything like this and make it bigger. So you can make it wider and do everything the same, and then you would have that bag. So just like the flap, I'm going to keep this up, my little button thing. Forgot I got to sew a button on still. Yeah, strong. Yeah, that's going to be, I have several branches that it was no rain, so the branches where it connects to the tree couldn't rot and fall down naturally. So now that it's raining, it'll be good. But I have to make sure they come down soon because we're in hurricane season, and we don't want that to be blowing around during a hurricane. Because if my tree blows over, first of all, I'll feel horrible, but I'll also be responsible if my tree branches aren't trimmed and they like blow through a car or a house window or something. It's the only, I have a sour orange fruit in the back, fruit tree in the back, so it's no big deal, but it's like my only tree, the palm tree out front. we had 7 other trees, but we lost them during hurricanes, and then due to property, they were off the property line. The previous homeowners planted them on the neighbor's property, so when the neighbors built their houses, the trees had to come down. So we lost all our trees. It's nice to have someone living with you. I kind of see the value of being on my own, but I definitely miss having somebody here. Puts it over the buttons again, make sure my D-ring stays out of the way. I think it's going to be nice too if you did like the faux piping around the top so that your lining pops out around the top. That would be nice to look into. It's a good contrast. Yeah, exactly, Sasla. Now, okay, I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch. Normally I try to have a big meal at lunchtime and then I just have a bowl of cereal or a sandwich for dinner. But I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, and I don't have to worry about feeding someone or being awake or asleep on their schedule and doing what they want and stuff. Okay, so anyone want to guess on some of the things I did wrong? You know it went too easily. So I have the pocket in the front. It is not a big deal. When I put the pocket down onto here, I had it right. I must have just put this because I put it on here. This is my button loop was the totally thing I did wrong. But sometimes when you turn your bag out, I found this out on the balloon one, sometimes you'll turn it and you'll see your lining of your pocket and you'll be like, oh, what did I do wrong? If you just take it and flip it around, it just means the way you turned it, it came out on the wrong side. So you can turn it around that way and it'll be perfectly fine. It's just the size that I can get my hand down in there to poke the corners down. Yeah, so my mistake was that I put my button loop on the front because I couldn't see the difference between the pocket and totally not paying attention, but that's what I did, so that works out. It's gonna be fine. I just have the button on the front and the pocket on the front. So I picked out this button. So I have this nice purple button to blend in with everything. And the way I put my button on, I just pulled out my bobbin thread because it matches my bag. Oh, Helly, I'm lost. You need more help? Does that mean your son's moving out? Oh, you put the buttons on with the machine? Then you want to put the button on before you sew your lining and everything. I just do it by hand. I think I've only put a button on once by machine. And I don't mind hand sewing one button on. It doesn't bother me. I do double my thread because I want it nice and tight. I want it nice and strong. Oh, if he was moving out. Okay, I gotcha. Which also puts my handle on the right side instead of the left. I could flip this. If it really bothered me, I could flip this and have this contrast sticking out. But I really wanted it to all blend. And it's fine. It's just one of those things where it's not exactly the same as it was when I thought about it. I bring this down. I think I made my button loop a little bit longer this time. So bring it down, figure out where your button's going to be. Use a novelty one. You can use something fun. If you think, like I said, if you think it's not going to be tall enough, you can put another button underneath it to bring it up high enough. It can even be a small button. Let me get out my buttons. This is my part of my random button collection. These are the ones that are going on my project. These are a whole bunch of little tiny ones. So I've got the big white ones. These are the ones I picked up at the Dollar Tree. I have dark ones, so if I find I can pick a little purple one up. If I put this down below, it's going to raise it up off of here just enough that it'll be able to put the button loop down and it'll hold it nicely. Yeah, no one else, if you're talking to me, Sass, no one else would know if I did it any differently. But I'm going to find out where my button goes. I never go into a project expecting certain things because I know myself. I'm going to go through, just like when we're quilting, and you're doing hand quilting and you're going to bury the thread, or when you're putting on your binding, I'm going to go from my fabric on the outside into my batting. Just take a little bit of a bite. I'm going to leave this tail end because I'm going to use this to tie off my button. So go through my baby button and my big button. It's a little fiddly at first. Go back through my big button, back through my baby, and then, come on button. Just gonna grab and go right through, so I'm not going through to my lining, but if I do, it's gonna be on the inside and down here. It's not gonna be seen. Plus, if you're making it for yourself, you already know it's there, so it doesn't matter. Then I'll just keep doing the same thing. Baby button, big button. I don't know, 5, 6 times, whatever makes you feel good, like you made it nice and tight and secure. The first 2 or 3 or so, it's a little bit loose and fiddly, but once you get going, you can tighten it up. Yeah, if I had this nice smiley face button, but it was a shank button, and those tend to be a little bit too wobbly. So if I put that little button underneath it, that's going to put this strap, and it's going to give it more space to hold it underneath. And I don't have to worry about if I put the button on too tight or not. Because if you're sewing a button on, you know that toothpick trick? You put the toothpick underneath it so there's room for your shirt and all that. So I don't have to worry about any of that. I have my fingers inside the bag so I can feel if I poke through. And then I can just back up. And when I feel like the button is secure enough, I'm going to be on the opposite side of, so just come out through the buttons and not go into the fabric here. Now I'm on the opposite side of here. I take this first and I do a little bit of a surgeon's knot. I go loop it once, to go through the loop twice, and that locks it in place. So then a second knot. So there I do that. Then I do the button thing where you go round and round and round and round and round. And you can do the same again with the beginning one, but I don't bother. And then I just do the same surgeon's knot again. Come on. Round once, like you're tying your shoes. Round one more time. And that just locks the knot in place when you do that surgeon's knot like that. And then just like quilting, I'm just going to bury my thread. Just come over here, go into my batting and not through my lining and pull it out. Give it a little bit of a pull, trim that. Now I did put a knot on the end because I tend to pull it out, so let me just cut my knot off. Pop that back on the needle. And I'll bury this one. Just make sure you don't cut your fabric, and you're good to go. I knit pot holders for the most part, or dishcloths I should say, but I want to start crocheting them again. It's been a while since I've done that. Okay, then I pop this over, I close that up. Let me put my non-cell phone in there. And then my strap. Ta-da! Look at that, we're done. We did it. We made one. We made two. The straps on both sides, and then I made this one. See, this button's big enough because it's thick enough that it would just stay under it nicely. But by adding that second button, it just closes it, makes it more secure in my opinion. Thanks everybody. So I think maybe I might have one more in me. I feel like I need to make a Harry Potter one. I might make a Harry Potter one for me, or I don't know, I might keep this one. I haven't decided yet. But most of these will go into the shop, so if anyone's interested, they will be going in the shop in the next update. I want to thank everyone for hanging out with me. You guys are marathon runners, 2.5 hours today. I think my phone dies at 3, so we're doing pretty good. Thank you, thank you. So if anyone has any questions, you can ask them now. If anyone has any questions in the replay, leave them down in the comments. It usually takes 24 hours before the video is uploaded, and you can leave comments, and then the comments will start popping up. We did the flap, we did the buttons, we have a permanent strap, we have a wristlet strap is what they call them. I have no idea what we're going to do on the next live stream. I have a feeling it's going to be a craft and chat, that it's not going to be an actual tutorial, that we're just going to kind of hang out and sew something together. You may learn something from watching whatever I do, or you might just have company and we'll all sew together, or knit and crochet, and we'll just have a good time. Oh, you know what I've been doing in Heritage Stitches? I watch Yes, 2 Next, the number 2 here on YouTube, and they have walking workouts that you can do right at home. They have cardio ones. They're meant, she has her mother with her, so I think the lady that's doing them she's a little bit older than me. I think she might be 55 or 57, and then her mother exercises with her. So they do a lot of things that are meant for older people. But I found that since I have the neck injury and I can't go like out and do a lot of different exercises, that I can exercise to her programs. So every morning before I start my day, I pop in a 10-minute walk, 20-minute walk, or I'll do a cardio. They have back exercises, they have foot exercises. So depending on how I'm feeling, I love their channel. I've been doing, it's the only time I've exercised every day, because when if I have to exercise, I'm like, oh, I don't want to exercise, but it's a 10-minute video. It's like I can march in place, I can walk, I can do the little hand movements and stuff for 10 minutes. And I've been doing it for about a month now, and it's to the point now where my legs don't hurt anymore when I do it. They used to hurt right along the side, along the area in the side of your leg, but now that I've been doing 10-20 minutes every morning, for the most part, then it works out good. If I'm having a high pain day, or if I've got a migraine, or I'm just like blah, I'll do the foot exercises, because you can do them sitting in a chair and my feet aren't sore anymore. Because a lot of times when I get up in the morning, everything is stiff, but when I do that, then I go ahead and I can do it, I can mix it up. It's called Yes, Y-E-S, the number 2, and then Next, N-E-X-T. It's a mother and daughter. They both wear, I think, black. Oh, I can type, guys. Let me see if I can do, hold on. Boom, 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 boom. Yes, 2, Next. There we go. Yeah, and it's great. So if it's raining out and it gets too hot, and really, if I have to leave the house, because you're talking to motivate to leave the house, to get into the car. I'm always stiff in the morning and sore, so I have to like really put forth an effort to get into the car, drive somewhere that's safe or to a gym that is safe and you got to pay money for, do your exercising, and then drive home. So you've just blown what, an hour or two of your day? I get up in the morning, I exercise for 10 minutes, 20, 30 minutes, and then I'm done. And I'm right here. I do right here. Yeah, it's on YouTube. I wonder if I can get, I own this channel, so I should be able to put up links, right? So I think it's just the greatest thing. She has just so many different programs, and for someone like, I can't do yoga because I've had 3 surgeries on one shoulder and 1 on the other, and I just can't put that type of pressure on my shoulders. But come on. They just have so many great programs, and it's geared toward the older people, but yet at the same time, I think it works great for someone like me that's a bit out of shape, or, you know, that's sedentary a lot. And hold on, I'm just stretching the internet here. It's not happy with me. Okay, copy. And are y'all still here? And paste. I don't know. Oh yeah, look, you can click on that. So there you go. So I really like it, and they have tons of videos. They're accredited. They're on like their news channels all the time. They're just really popular, and it's just so many things. Thanks, Annie. We had fun. We made 2 of the cell phone cozies. We made these today. These were yesterday's prototypes. I was on a blue kick. So I made these 2 first, and I thought, oh, I've made a lot of blue. Let me get a different color. So I got the balloons. They're blue, Robin. They're blue. Yeah, I've tried a couple of the other walk-in programs, and they're like really gym intense, and I can't do with the neck. I can't do a lot of spinning and moving in different motions. Like she does us, you work in all planes. You forward, you walk backwards, you go to the left, you go to the right. She does have a couple of them where it's like dance moves. I can't do those because I can't, the neck needs to stay straight. I can't like spin around and do all those things. So I just do all of her other ones. Whatever one feels good, and a lot of them are maybe 5 or 10 minutes, but then you repeat it 3 or 4 times. So if you feel like you only have 10 minutes, whether you only have the ability to do that 5 or 10 minutes, or you only have that much time, you can go ahead and do it. Okay, anyone else have any questions? Again, just prepare for the next time. What is it, the June 19th? We will probably just sit down and chat while we're crafting. I still have all of my cards to finish, or I might sew something. I don't know, but I know right now I'm going to clean up my mess, and I am going to put together 4 bookcases. So everyone enjoy yourself. I hope everyone feels better, those who aren't feeling well. I hope the sun is shining. I hope it's raining for you. I hope you have no snow, because I know the other half of the world down below is in the winter time. Whatever you guys need, I hope you have a little bit of it today. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.